Too rich to be canceled? Is there any possible way you can be so rich and famous that you can buy your way out of getting canceled, or better yet, avoid it as a whole? The first thought that may come to mind would, in the most sense, be, no way. Well, what if I told you that this is happening in the world right now and under all of our noses? Let's talk about the World Cup. The World Cup, the most watched television event right now in the world, is hosted by FIFA, the International Federation of Association Football. The World Cup is being held in Qatar this year, a country in the Middle East. The problem lies here because originally Qatar wanted the World Cup to be held in their country. However, FIFA decided not to do so. This is because Qatar had no stadiums or fields to host the tournament on. So Qatar bribed FIFA and hired hundreds and thousands of migrant workers to build stadiums, and in the process, thousands were killed due to poor working conditions. Knowing this, FIFA continued to and followed through with hosting the World Cup anyways, turning a blind eye to the injustice occurring beneath. So while we are all at home cheering on our favorite teams, families of migrant workers are mourning the deaths of loved ones that were killed in order to bring this year's World Cup to the Middle East. The most watched sporting event right now is being played on the grounds of dead migrant workers. Now, how does that sound? There is an outrage right now from the people of Qatar, as the government knows of the despair they have caused and has done nothing to make things right. These are simple human rights that are being violated, and as Americans, we have gone to this country to play in the World Cup, supporting what Qatar has done without even realizing we are doing so. It is not right that the United States is even participating in the event if FIFA doesn't see the tremendous issue at hand. Other World Cup teams of countries have already voiced their opinions and have tried their best to do diligence to this crisis. In an article written by Tom Ravenscroft, the editor of Design magazine, he states, last month, the Danish national team announced it would play games at the tournament in toned-down football kits, designed by sports brand Hummel, as a protest against the event being hosted in Qatar. This shows that other countries are just as exasperated about the matter as the citizens in Qatar. There have been many deaths recorded, although a large-scale number of deaths have also been ignored and not accounted for. So there isn't even an exact death count to go based off of. Migrant workers' lives are often overlooked in countries with corrupt governments. In an article published by The Guardian, more than 6,500 migrant workers from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka have died in Qatar since it won the right to host the World Cup just 10 years ago. This number is not even including years 2020 to present day. So there can only be much imagination to what the number count would be if recorded. Qatar's government recognizes the deaths of these migrant workers, but has only taken accountability for a small percentage of this death count. Qatar's government has labeled the remaining large percentage of deaths to be of natural causes and not on the grounds of construction for the World Cup. Families in Qatar understand the natural cause card is clearly forged. Providers of families would leave home healthy and in good shape to work on construction for the World Cup, and then families would eventually hear news that their beloved has died of natural causes and that's it, no questions asked? Obviously, this explanation makes no sense. Families are left confused at how this could have happened if their loved ones were so healthy, and the truth is being covered up with Qatar's dirty hands. This devastation has created a great deal of hardship for households because now that their provider is gone, how will they make a good living? The women or children are left having to find work now that their breadwinner is gone. The amount of disease that Qatar's government has claimed to be of natural causes have not even bothered to compensate for the family's suffering. Michael Page, a deputy director, and Minky Worden, a director of global initiatives, have reported Qatari authorities have rejected a widely supported compensation fund for families of deceased workers whose deaths are classified as natural causes without proper investigation. Most won't even get the opportunity to file for compensation because investigations will be quick to close because of Qatar's unethical justice system. Many families seem to be silenced. Qatar is known for its extreme heat and temperatures during the summer. The heat, along with poor conditions, is why many migrant workers perished. In an article written by Becky Sullivan, a reporter for NPR News, she concludes, the World Cup is traditionally held in the summer, but Qatar's summertime heat and humidity has made that untenable, and the event was instead scheduled for November. The games will also be held in air-conditioned stadiums. FIFA and Qatar were quick to make exceptions and postpone the World Cup to November to accommodate the players and keep them from unbearable playing conditions. Where was this sympathy when migrant workers were in searing temperatures? Why was the concern not in the same magnitude for migrant workers? It is prominent that their lives didn't matter. What sets their lives apart from those who are playing the sport? If it weren't for their labor, there would be no field to play on. This isn't the only dispute with Qatar. The country is also eminent for being racist, homophobic, and sexist. You can be killed for being gay. Women don't have control over reproductive decisions or the freedom to even pick their role in having jobs. They usually need permission from a male guardian to do so. Women's rights are absent. Weston Blasey, a reporter for Market Watch, and Rachel Beals, a news editor, both remark, for example, it's illegal in Qatar for two men to have sex, and penalties include lashing, lengthy prison sentences, and or deportation. Adding to the information stated in the previous sentence and expressing her aversion, according to an article written by Emma Russell, a production assistant at The Guardian, Jessica Irving, who co-founded the Dalston-based five-a-side team Peaches Football Club, makes commentary in Russell's article and states that she is disgusted by a tournament built on the blood of slaves. Not watching the World Cup is not only boycotting the labor rights of migrant workers, but also supporting other very grave matters and problems at hand. It is 2022, and it almost seems as if modern slavery is a thing in the world when it should not be. We, as people, need to do better. In America, we have the freedom to have a voice. So why don't we use it to help those who don't? FIFA should have never allowed Qatar to host the World Cup in the first place. And as a country, we should not air it on television either, because this is only benefiting FIFA, enabling more corruption and injustice. These corporations are getting paid to allow the violation of basic human rights. In an article written by Derek Soll of Forbes staff, he uncovers breaking news stated by the former FIFA president Sepp Blatter. Qatar is a mistake. Former FIFA president Sepp Blatter told Swiss newspaper. Evidently, other people see the sickening dilemma, even the former president of the federation. The World Cup is a global event, with countries all across the world getting together and being involved in the sport. Qatar is being exposed to their racist, sexist, and homophobic ideas. By all the countries coming together, they can protest and boycott Qatar's prejudiced ways. By having the tournament in Qatar, they are opening everyone's eyes to the inequality taking place in the country. With this being a global event, everyone is involved, meaning everyone has a say in what matters. This could potentially lead to bigger protests and boycotts that will bring to center the inequality in Qatar. FIFA deciding to select Qatar as this year's home for the World Cup might have a darker underlying theme. It has been speculated that FIFA was bribed by Qatar for permission to host the Cup. Despite their racist and sexist ways, FIFA overlooked this, took the bait, and allowed Qatar to be this year's host for the tournament. With this said, we have another 4 years till the next World Cup. How are we as people going to do better? Will we sacrifice a life at the expense of $1? 4 years to think about how we will be self-indulging and how we will morally be better and be an example to other nations. The next World Cup has been set to be held in the United States, so we will see then. Thank you.